All right, awesome.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another matchup of the Illinois State Twilight Struggle Tournament. With Michael Panettiere, I'm Justin Abramson, and we're thrilled you could join us for what could be a huge clash from the top of the table as Derek Miller takes on Frank Zhang. These two men are tied with Jeremy Anders for first place in the tournament, each having two losses. So tonight's winner will control his own destiny in the quest for that coveted ITS Champions League bid. Derek won the first matchup between these two, so Frank will be looking to score a modicum of revenge tonight against his Illinois teammate, while both look forward to the 2022 U.S. Cup. So I'd like to turn now to Michael Panettiere, the man they call Metallic. Michael, thanks for joining me tonight. This is the first time I've had the privilege of calling a game with you. I hope it's a good one. What do you notice here about Frank's opening hand?
Yeah, thanks for the introduction there, Justin. My first time having the pleasure and privilege of commentating with you, as you noted, and of any Illinois League tournament game. So this is going to be exciting for me to see what's going on in the Prairie State. So we're looking at Frank's perspective here as U.S., and I'm seeing some good stuff here. Europe scoring, he's got at least one four up, so if he faces the purge, he can chuck that. Not a lot of problem cards. You know, Warsaw Pact is a great card for USA to draw turn one. Um, Not much to give to the UN. We'll see if he uses Suez. To me, that would make a lot of sense. And I'm probably expecting a defector's headline. What do you think?
Yeah, I think a defector's headline's pretty straightforward here, and then you can dump three ops into France and get yourself a nice domination. Would be my guess. So defector's headline to dodge a purge or socialist governments or anything else crazy like that. Yeah, and then I guess I would expect to see UN and Suez held to the final action round. Then if he's blockaded, he dumps Suez. If he's not, he maybe UNs it.
Yep,
Um, but probably want to get Warsaw packed out a little bit early. Use it to fill up France.
exactly. So
Yeah, but he
I was
does go with the
wondering.
defector's headline.
Yep, I was wondering if we were going to see any unusual or not unusual, but different than 442 U.S. starting influence. But oh, and the defectors catches the purge. That's a huge takedown there.
Yes, that's big for Frank. And Michael, what are your thoughts on that? I'm a guy who likes to just set up 4-4-2, even if I've got defectors. Do you set up differently? I like to set up in a standard way just to make sure I see if I can catch something scary. I don't want to advertise that I got defectors, but I also know that you can get a head start in France. Maybe go 4-1-3, something like that if you've got defectors, or do the Marshall fake out. What do you like?
Yeah, that's a great point. Uh, I definitely vary my starting influence based on the cards in my hand. If you have De Gaulle, I think it's pretty clear you can't really go into France. It's just great to chuck that event out. But looks like we get an early decall out by Derek. That's a monster event to come out turn one. And AR1 when everything's so open, immediately threatening the walk into France, immediately taking the Asia Dom in the first Thailand access. I'm interested to see how Frank responds to this. If he's going to prioritize somehow trying to fight for France, fight for Asia. What would you do here,
Boy,
Justin?
yeah. This is a gutsy play by Derek. I love it because there's so many. It just puts so many threats on the board. You're probably going to lose some of that influence to coups here, but I think attacking France is really strong. Derek also could have duck and cover, and so he could have duck and cover if I guess if Frank covers France, Derek might play it to coup Iran, and then Derek locks up Thailand. If he doesn't protect France, Derek can just take France with Duck. So many big threats here. And yeah, I like what Frank's doing. I like the two in France, especially with Truman Doctrine in hand. So
Yep.
unlikely Derek goes into France, threaten Thailand a little bit, and then maybe he gets into Pakistan just to spread out of Iran. Yeah,
Yep.
I like this response by Derek. Now, there's not a lot of great ways to respond to so many threats all at once, but using his four up early and trying to defend as best he can, get out of Iran. I like this play by. I like the response by Frank.
Yeah, that's a great use of four up, making threats across the board. Curious to see how Derek handles this. I think definitely taking Thailand, filling that up to at least two, preferably three if he's got the ops to spare would be great. Um, you didn't see any headline of Middle East from the U.S. So he's probably gonna perhaps delay a little bit in filling up any Middle East countries. And maybe the pressure into South Korea. We will see.
Yeah, I like that, and I think Derek would like what I guess I am thinking that Derek might have duck and cover. But if he does, if he used duck and cover to coup here, Frank could just take Thailand. So that wouldn't be a very strong play. He also may not have it. I may be just completely making things up. Um, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does here. I think you've got to take.
Oh, he's going for the
He's gonna
coup
ooh, gonna go for the coup. Okay.
of Iran. That's interesting. So he's probably
Would much
thinking,
less valuable with him. I'm sorry to talk over you, Michael. Just a little bit less valuable with Frank already spread out of Iran. Rolls a one, so it wasn't going to be very good regardless. I'm a little bit surprised, but I'm not saying it's a bad move. Just a little bit of an interesting move, leaving Thailand open and perhaps encouraging Frank to step in there where Derek would probably coup again.
yeah. So now that DEFCON's down to four, it's going to be interesting to see because Frank now has the ability to take the coup to bring DEFCON down to three on Thailand if he wants it. Um, So we are going to see the Warsaw played. Doesn't look like Derek has NATO because he probably play that. And he does take the Thailand coup and he rolls big. So that's a huge capitalization on the play by Derek to bring the DEFCON down.
Yeah. So Derek fails on his coup, and Frank succeeds on his. So now he owns Thailand, and France still sitting at 2-0. So Frank has not secured that domination yet. No doubt he'll want to do that soon.
Yeah, what's really interesting to me, Justin, is the coup of Iran screams to me that Derek probably has Middle East scoring, because having already spread out of Iran, that country seems to be pretty downgraded to me on the list of things he could have done there. Like maybe pressure South Korea, maybe spread into Afghanistan, definitely filling up to Thailand. There seemed to be a lot of other plays that could have been good for USSR. So would you be considering pressuring the Middle East here if you're blue?
I guess my first priority. Well, let's see what we get here. So he's going to go for another Iran coup. This time
Ooh,
successful. So I think now. Certainly, I think Lebanon, France here is the
yeah.
play, right? Yeah. So just get yourself presence. And I'm completely in agreement with you, Michael. I'm surprised that Derek didn't fill up Thailand and gave Frank the opportunity for the last coup. Now it looks like obviously there are plenty of other events in the deck, lots of Twilight Struggle left, but it looks like Frank is going to be the first to get to Thailand and France, and Frank's going to score this domination. So a big break for Frank.
Yeah, I mean, even though the Middle East is starting to turn pretty fast red, I'm still really liking this position if I'm blue. Normally if one side can like strongly hold both France and Thailand, that side has essentially won the early war. Because it's very hard to get scorings going against you if you have both of those countries. So he goes for the Pakistan to snag the Asia domination. A little bit risky holding off on the Europe, but we will see if Derek has a card like Indo-Pak War, or would you even consider flipping Pakistan here as red?
Oh boy, I think it's a little bit too early to be giving up China, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
he goes for
I,
the
I, I like this a little bit better, I think. Derek's also just jammed six ops into cooing Iran. He's used Red Scare Purge, which got defectored. He's spent Nasser. I don't know what he's got left, but I have a feeling he's not going to have just a huge amount of ops. Also, as you said, he is signaling that he has Middle East. So I don't know if he's going to spend three in Pakistan right away with the war still out there. Oh, there's another three. Okay, so threatening India and taking Middle East domination. If I'm Frank, I certainly don't want to give up. What is it's going to be 4 VPs here in the Middle East, but given my position in Asia and given my position in Europe, I'm really okay with that. That's not the end of the world. Yeah, I hate to give up those four VPs, but the rest of the rest of the board is looking pretty decent. Sorry, Michael. Not sure if you stepped away. I am not able to hear you. But anyway, we've got so here we go. We've got Frank is going to UN Suez, which I think is the right play. We talked about that at the top of the show. We've got he held Suez for blockade. Blockade did not come, and so now is going to fill up Pakistan and India. They'll protect each other from the war, but that's a moot point because Frank has drawn the war. He's also drawn D-stall and duck and cover. So I'm wondering if duck and cover might be the headline here to pick up a quick three VPs, and then you can get your mill ops out of IP war. Welcome back, Michael.
Thank you, Justin. Internet dropped out unexpectedly, but I did see that we got Middle East drop, which was expected based on how Red had played in turn one. And this is a very nice hand if you're blue. I'm thinking.
Yeah, not a ton of ops here, but some good events here. You're going to use duck and cover, I would assume, as your headline. A socialist government's headline on the other side would be not great because then France can get stolen with a four. But duck and cover and Indo package your mill ops, so the VP tracker would be looking decent. And Europe is already scored. Asia domination's also looking very good, with Frank already in control of three battlegrounds and with access to those Southeast Asian countries. So he just hopes that Asia is in Derek's hand, and 5-year plan is not.
Yeah, so he gets lucky. He fades the socialist government's headline, and De Gaulle is also out there as well. Correct, Justin?
Actually, I believe Derek used De Gaulle for three ops to on turn one. I think he used it to take Syria and go into Burma
Ah,
as well as
okay.
South Korea. So I believe De Gaulle is still in the deck, of course, but not in play for turn two.
Got it. So, fortunate then for Blue, he only had socialist governments to dodge there. That could have been a disaster if Reddit headline .govs, and then you don't even get the coup as compensation. Um, so now I think all eyes turn to Asia as the only unscored region, and it's looking like Red might have a shot at fighting it if he makes the bold decision to flip the Pakistan with a unknown status of IP war.
Yeah, if he goes for the Pakistan flip here, then that would neutralize the domination. Frank would certainly event the war immediately. Only a 1 in 3 chance, though, even though it seems like it's much more than that when your opponent has the war.
I think that's a wise play. If he has the Asia scoring, he might want to do some housekeeping, fill up the South Korea, fill up the Algeria first before he makes a play like that.
Okay, so he's given Frank the opportunity here to overprotect Pakistan if he wants to. Um, so I think France is a country that needs to be overprotected by the end of the turn. Doesn't need to be overprotected immediately, of course, with De Gaulle and Suez both in the discard pile. And I think you've got to hold on to IP war in case those countries get attacked. But other than beefing up those battlegrounds, what do you like here on turn two, Michael, for the U.S.? Are you already going to move on to filling up Panama and Mexico?
Yeah, this is one of those weird boards where so much got filled in turn one that you're starting to kind of run out of easy targets for your ops to get dropped into. I really love filling up South Korea and just taking the risk on the war. Although I don't love it now that Derek's already put two into South Korea. I just think that's too many ops. Oh, okay. He is going to tease Derek. um, we'll see if Derek has the ops to commit to fill up South Korea. But yeah, that's a huge play that I normally love is filling up the South Korea. And then yeah, I'm thinking also about realigns in Angola or Algeria because now you control the D style, so you don't have to worry about him immediately repairing it until at least turn three with the D call redraw.
Yeah, so that is an interesting play. It would be an aggressive play, but one that really might pay off. Obviously, no access to getting back in there. Derek has not spread to Zaire. So
Yeah.
the
So
extra one in South Korea, I don't, I'm not sure if it accomplishes much. My guess is that Derek wants to play Korean War for ops and put two in South Korea and control it. Now he can't do that. But even if it goes to 2-4, I don't see Frank being willing to try and commit five more ops in there with the war status unknown. So I think he's just kind of annoying him a little bit. Ooh, and a marshal here.
wow.
Okay.
So I really like for USA now. We were talking about that one in South Korea. I like that one in Japan a lot more because now China card can't take Japan in one action round. So I'd really love to see US consider putting one in Japan here.
Yeah, that's all. You know what? I hate doing that as the U.S. because it's such a reactive play. But in this case, I think you're right. That way, because that would be a cheap way to stop domination here, as to make sure that Japan doesn't get taken with the China card. So let's see if Frank sees it. Frank also doesn't have a lot of great places for his ops here. Obviously, Mexico and Panama are important, but yeah, and he does go for it.
He
So,
does.
yeah, I like that play by Frank. A little bit of a defensive play, and without taking Japan, it's going to be very very difficult for Derek to stop domination here.
Yeah, so I'm also thinking, Justin, red really does not have a lot of coup targets. I think it's probably going to be facing a Panama coup on turn three. So I'd be considering entering perhaps Costa Rica, but only on the last action round, so we don't give red a chance to get his mill ops easily.
Yeah, getting out of Panama may be pretty important here. With Egypt, Iran already on the red side. So I like that. I like that second into Japan just to kind of protect your domination here a little bit. I wonder if Derek could take Burma and Vietnam, which would give him five countries to Frank's four, but then Frank can immediately just spend Cambridge five. Okay, well, so there's the war. So I think this may
No
be
event
Burma,
in the
Vietnam. No,
war.
it's not. Okay, so that suggests he doesn't have Asia scoring, or perhaps that he just doesn't want to fight in Asia and wants to make sure he secures these Middle Eastern battlegrounds.
Yeah, I'm curious what he's going to do about mill ops because as red, that's certainly a card I'd be considering eventing purely for mill ops here. Um, Maybe he has Arab Israeli and he's planning on playing it later in the turn.
Yeah, so that is interesting. Maybe he decided he couldn't spare the ops, but Korean War a good source of mill ops, even though it's one of those cards that gets kicked out of the game after you event it. He'd rather, I'm sure, much rather event Arab Israeli. Right now, a 1 in 3 chance on Arab Israeli, not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd rather event the Korean War because if it succeeds, you've protected both North Korea and South Korea from taps.
No, yes, that's true. So then Frank would need Usuri to
Facing
get back in
containment.
there. Spacing containment, that's is interesting. I normally like to get containment out of the deck on the last action round,
Yeah, that we'll
but
see if
or
that comes back to bite Derek later.
yeah, and well, it may be the second to last action round, given that Derek is probably going to event blockade here if he has it.
Yeah, I think there's no question there. Blockade's looking pretty likely. Um, Probably gonna have to see an eventing of Indo-Pak War pretty soon.
Yep.
Because you want to leave your last action round free to make some sort of attack play. I'm liking taps of Algeria, maybe Egypt.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about Egypt, and you want to just try and threaten Libya there a little bit. Middle East is going to be ugly either way,
Yeah,
but getting into Libya, maybe if you can get Libya first, when Sadat comes, you even things out.
yeah, I'm liking Egypt a lot. It makes your life easier, so you're not facing some sort of weird, control situation later. Um, you probably want to be filling up Saudi Arabia as well once you get the opportunity. I like the covering of France here. It's pretty safe from De Gaulle. Okay,
Yeah,
so as we
I
expected,
like that.
there's the Arab Israeli.
Yep, Arab Israeli makes all kinds of sense. Get your mill up. So, Derek with two cards left. I wonder if they are 5-year plan in Asia scoring. They could be blockade. And you know what? I actually the spacing of containment strongly suggests 5-year plan with Asia scoring, right? Because obviously you
Yeah.
can't use containment in the last action round if you're using 5-year plan.
He certainly has something in mind for the last action round, that's for sure. We'll see
Yeah,
what it
so
is.
Frank will be disappointed not to get his, I believe, 5 VPs out of Asia scoring, but he will at least be happy to hold D stall here and be able to hold it through the reshuffle and deny that South America access through the mid war. And
Yeah, I'd
Derek's going to have to
certainly
hope that he gets Junta or Allende.
yeah, sorry to cut you off, Justin. I'd certainly be hoping for blockade over 5-year plan. Or
Oh,
I'm
for
sorry,
sure.
5-year plan over blockade. Because either way, Asia is not coming out in turn two, but at least you get to hold the D style through.
Yep. Okay, so Derek does get rid of Asia scoring. Derek's going to save himself a few VPs there. And talking about an Egypt poke, but
Yeah,
Derek
that's
takes
not looking
Libya
too
as
good
well.
anymore.
Yep.
So what I would do is I'd be considering one Costa Rica, one Panama, and perhaps one Algeria. Um,
Yeah, poking something seems good here. Ooh, a North Korea jam. That is Ted Livermore's favorite play. He is a big fan of jamming North Korea as the U.S. When it's not overprotected. I don't love it as much here. It doesn't stop. It doesn't because it doesn't affect domination. Derek needs to not only retake that but also flip another country somewhere else in order to have domination. So that's not as big a threat as it might otherwise be.
yeah, it looks like he's reconsidering it, perhaps. But we're seeing right now the value, and he goes one Panama instead of one Costa Rica. I think Costa Rica is just objectively better in terms of staying in the region in terms of USSR roles. So I always like going Costa Rica instead of Panama.
Especially in this case where Panama is just an obvious coup target, and then there's just no other choices out there. Of course, I say that, and in my last game against Team Illinois, they decided to coup South Africa with a 4-op on turn 3, and they rolled a 5 on it
Whoa.
because I had not done the walk to Angola and Zaire yet, so they just cooed South Africa when Algeria was available, rolled a 5, and took all 3 countries.
Ah. Well, there's
Well,
all the ops.
and here's plenty of ops and also duck and cover. So potentially the Panama play is going to turn out well if he goes with duck and cover here. And I think that Frank has got plenty of ops here, so I don't think containment is going to be the play. I would expect another duck and cover headline and another 3 VPs.
Yeah, I mean, he's even shaking it. He's so excited to get it again. I mean, this is really kind of a nightmare situation. I'm thinking if you're the USSR coming out of the early war, facing two duck and covers, facing Europe and Asia dominations, and both those regions are looking pretty strong for blue at the moment. This is pretty scary, and CIA as well. That's a card we know has to be in red's hand.
Oh,
So
I
this is
wasn't even thinking about CIA. Yes, so
this is
Derek is going to have to
problematic.
hold CIA, and if Derek has potentially redrawn Asia, and 5-year plan was unlikely that he would have both, but he now wouldn't be able to dump Asia to 5-year plan because he's going to be stuck holding CIA. So holding CIA into the mid war always a scary proposition for the USSR, although he does of course have China. Now the duck and cover headline will neuter a little bit Frank's play into North Korea. He poked North Korea. Now that can just be easily fixed on AR1 with no coup in play, but still well worth it for the 3 VPs and to protect Panama, I would think.
Yeah, this is where you see the real value of that to Japan because if unless I'm mistaken, Justin, we know US Japan is in the USSR's hand, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so then I think just jamming Japan is obvious if you were in the situation, but there's only one in Japan. But now, especially with the hand blue has, it would be a disaster, I think, if Derek were to jam Japan because I don't think he would get it.
Yeah. Frank with plenty of ops here. Oh, he's going to headline decal. So that's a nice redraw. That's a nice redraw for Derek. So he's going to certainly fill up Nigeria and maybe make some inroads in Southeast Asia. Maybe try and fight here on country count. Certainly be able to flip Indonesia. Where would you go here? Nigeria and Indonesia for sure. Would you try a Thailand
I
flip with the China card?
Yeah, I was about to mention I would absolutely be going for the
Yep.
Thailand flip here. The neutralizing the domination is huge because you gotta have something coming out of the early war here. You cannot face both Asia and Europe dom, but he is going to be getting North Korea. But at least Thailand, you get the Southeast Asia points to look forward to. I believe
Yeah.
Thailand is the most valuable battleground on the country in terms of the op or the victory points, the expected value victory points it gives you. If you saw Ricky McLaughlin's post recently on the Reddit.
Yeah, yeah, very, very important country. But Frank's going to take domination right back. And now, the only reason I hesitated on the Thailand flip question is Derek is holding CIA and Frank knows he has it. So now a grain sales headline from Frank on turn four could win the ball game. So that's the only reason. But again, probably the best use of the China card, other than preventing you from losing the game, is to flip Thailand, and that's what Derek goes for. And I think it's probably the right play.
Yep. So no nuclear test ban as a potential card to save Derek in case he gets in one of those situations. So basically gonna have to pray to pick up a card like How I Learned. I think um, if he does get grain sales in turn four,
Yep.
I think you absolutely have to give up the CIA
Yeah.
AR1 or AR1 in turn four if USA doesn't DEFCON degrade. You
If you
cannot
have
you
the
cannot hold
option.
that without China card.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't like Derek's decision there to play Vietnam revolts and not take Vietnam when Frank has access to it, because now Frank can take Vietnam, and that's going to be a point in for Southeast Asia scoring, unless Derek wants to spend three ops to flip it, which I don't think he will. I think I would have put that. He took Burma, which is good, but I think I would have rather taken Vietnam there.
Yeah, I think Vietnam is a very important country for the points in Southeast Asia, but also the brush war protection because Thailand is a probably the juiciest brush war target on the board right now. If you're USA, you're loving if you can hit that with the brush.
For sure, yes. That is a huge swing, especially if Brush War obviously comes out before Southeast Asia scoring, as you mentioned. So we've got some problem cards here in Frank's hand. I don't. Problem is too strong. We have some empty action rounds in
Yeah,
Frank's hand. Derek also has blockade in hand. I would be surprised to see it evented, given what Derek knows is in Frank's hand, that he would be more than happy to discard. So, what do you think would what? And also, love to get your thoughts on destalinization on turn three. Do you like to space it, get it out of your hand on turn three, and risk the USSR drawing it, getting it with salt on turn four? Or do you like to keep it in your hand and risk potentially drawing lots of other bad USSR stuff and being in an awkward situation? What are your thoughts on that?
yeah. I really don't think there's many events that are worse than D style. So and you can always space it, assuming you're not in a situation where you get purged and can't space two ops anymore. So I think that in a situation like this, we have multiple bad red cards for the precise reason of avoiding um, the um, the salt negotiations. Picking it up, you want to hold it above other cards. Is my take.
Yep, yep, and that is certainly very reasonable. Now, this is an interesting play if Frank does indeed go for it. This is a little bit of a gutsy play. You threaten two things at once. You threaten the Thailand flip, but I really, I, personally, Michael, I'm a bit of a conservative player, and I don't like going into Colombia when I know the USSR is going to be without destalinization.
Yeah, it's just so
Um,
much easier for blue to get into South America than red. I just don't see the need to give him the hook in Colombia.
yeah, yeah, I like staying the course here and hope that you can draw OAS, hope you can draw puppets, hope you can draw junta. In
Yeah,
something to get you into South America before the USSR gets Allende or junta.
I still think he's got to be thinking about Costa Rica here. Also, I don't see a really time pressure, so this might be a good time to get that Suez Crisis out of your hand and just give up the empty action round, so that you can kind of load your turn towards the end of the turn when USSR might not have cards to deal with your attacks.
Yeah,
Um,
and it looks like perhaps Frank heard you.
yeah,
Yeah,
so he's
Suez
deciding
here is
to give it
pretty
up now.
pretty harmless. I mean, it's not even really an empty action round. France can go down to 3, UK down to 4. Certainly, you want to repair the UK, and you want to stick at least one more into France, maybe two. Oh, he's not even going to take the Israel influence. So I think
Bringing
you
France up to
you
5 to me seems too conservative. I think you wanna be, entering a country like Mexico or
yep.
Costa Rica, although I guess it just kinda depends on, are there better places for your ops to go? The board is running out of targets. You're getting Mexico for sure. Um, maybe are you thinking about South Africa as well if you're blue?
Yeah, that is something to be concerned about. South Africa. I like the one into Mexico, so then you have the option to fill up Mexico and take Guatemala on the same action round. Filling France back up to 5 may be worthwhile, and Frank's got 7 ops to work with here. So I like filling South Africa. Ooh, Europe scoring.
Oh,
So
well,
that's a
now you're
pleasant
probably
surprise for
not gonna
Frank.
be filling up France to 5
Yeah.
after seeing the
Well,
scoring.
now I don't think so. So yeah, I like filling South Africa. Maybe even going into Botswana just to protect South Africa.
Yeah, I know Kevin Goody loves that play. What I think is better, Justin, here is going into Costa Rica so you can threaten entering Nicaragua on AR6. It's one of my favorite plays as US, and it's only available if you've entered Costa Rica. In addition to the Panama protection, you make sure you have adjacency if USSR coups you and leaves with 0 or 1 red.
Yeah.
I just think that one Costa Rica is such a valuable op to place.
Yeah, realigning Fidel out is so key, and no USSR player is going to coup Nicaragua on AR1. So Derek overprotects, and blockade is going to be around in the late war. So Frank up 10 VPs, just about to be 8, and
This
so
is a dream US start. There's
yeah,
really, nothing to argue about here.
yeah,
I
and so
take
a
this
South Korea.
every day with a side of broccoli if I'm US.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And where while Africa looks quite ugly, a VOA headline would just be devastating to Derek. Middle East looks ugly as well, but if a region has to look ugly for you, make it the Middle East if you're the U.S. But Michael, I'm sorry, I've got a little side note here. I've got a little bit of a bone to pick with Frank.
Okay.
Today I played against Tim Furrow in our first OTSL match. I beat Tim. And it was reported on the Twilight Struggle Discord. But Frank, when he's seeing that result, gave me a surprised emoji.
Oh.
He
Oh,
reacted to
no.
that with that big open mouth surprised emoji when he saw that I had beaten Tim. So you know what, Frank, I'm really surprised that you're up 8 VPs after the early war against Derek. Okay, I'm very surprised.
Oh, man, shade
Uh,
shade being thrown, shade being thrown.
yeah. So that's
Those
all
are
I have to
fighting
say
words.
about that. I just wanted to get that out there, Michael. Sorry, I didn't want to distract from the game. But let's turn our attention to turn 4 and Frank's turn 4 hand. I see Africa scoring, but I also see ABM. What do you? How do you think Frank's going to play this?
I think absolutely you want the bear trap headline to steal the AR1 coup, and then you want to also be eventing the ABM, and I think you have a pretty clean flip of Africa to your domination. It would have been maybe a little helpful if he had gone the South Africa Botswana play like we were talking about, but I think with this hand he should have no problems with most likely getting that Africa domination. I would think.
Yeah, missile envy would be incredibly painful here, but ooh, Southeast Asia. So Derek picking up a couple of VPs there, and Frank now looks like he's going to get 2 coups. Okay, so Derek gets out. He lets go of defectors, suggesting he doesn't have grain sales or other problem cards. Frank really needs to not roll a 1 on this coup.
I like using the 3 op. I think it's important enough. You gotta make sure
Yep.
you have the you bring the goods to the fight here. You want a 3 op for this coup. It's got to be
Yep, you're
Angola, I
you're
think.
right. Sorry, I thought he was reaching for Latin American death squads, but you're absolutely right. He's because a 1 on a 2 op coup would be devastating, and indeed he rolls the 1.
Ooh, well, thank
So
thank goodness he brought the 3 op.
yeah, I wonder if Zaire gets flipped back immediately, though. I would be concerned. Oh, well, it's not going to because Derek is going to do something that's very important. He's going to get access into South America.
Yeah, I think you just let that be. I think you focus on getting Africa here.
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. So he could dump the scoring here. He could dump the scoring here for just 2
I think it's
and
worth
move
more
on.
points just to fight for the domination yourself, in my opinion. I'd fight this Africa.
So you would fight it and not wait for Derek to move into Argentina and ABM the heck out of Argentina.
Yeah, I would absolutely not ABM Argentina because there's a risk you get nothing for that if you roll a 1, 2, or 3, whereas you're basically guaranteed points if you use the ABM in Africa.
Okay, so you're going to ABM Angola, and if you roll, if you have any kind of a roll there, then Portuguese essentially becomes mostly free. You can use that to fill up a non-battleground, and obviously you've got to overprotect by Zaire if you do that, and then maybe you get yourself a domination. But he's going to be a little bit low on ops the rest of the turn. Yeah, so he's going to go for a big old Angola coup. Looks like he likes your play, and he rolls huge. So
I'm liking Frank. Every time I suggest something, he does it.
yeah, yeah. So Africa, which was looking like the USSR's best region, now looks very different. And so Derek is going to fix up South Korea. Expect we're going to see South Africa here.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even fool around with entering Botswana. I just go one Cameroon, one Zimbabwe to guarantee that you get the domination, assuming you don't see Shea, and then I just drop the Africa. I wouldn't if he coups and rolls a 6 on Botswana, it could be nasty.
Yep. Okay. And Derek also needs mill ops. And also, I did say earlier, Derek got rid of Defector, so he doesn't have problem cards. He does have CIA, the biggest problem card of them all in a stage like this. So that will, of course, be held till next turn unless we have a nuclear subs or assault type situation. We'll see what we get. But yes, I like the idea of just going into Cameroon, Zimbabwe.
Yeah, if you were facing a Chinese player, I think it's
Well,
highly
there goes
likely
CIA.
instead of going into okay, well he does ditch the CIA. That's huge for red. Um, I think he would have been considering and realigning Chile instead of going into South Africa. I was about to say, but there was a chance because you also have a pretty good secondary realignment target in Algeria. So I think you maybe could have gotten some big value if you had considered those realigns there with perhaps China card.
Yep. Yes, that could have been that would have been an aggressive play, but one that could have paid off handsomely. So Frank is just going to hope that Derek does not have Che. And if Derek does not have Che and doesn't want to spend 3 ops on African non-battlegrounds, he's going to score himself a 4-point domination in a region that looked very, very ugly for him at the start of the turn. That's what Bear Trap and ABM will do for you.
Yep, those are nice cards to draw, especially turn 4 when the board is so prone to getting flipped.
So I think if Derek had Che, we would have seen it already. So I expect that he does not.
Yeah, it's got to be an instant play in a situation like this.
Yeah. Yep. And so Derek is going to looks like he's going to be staring down the barrel of another double-digit VP lead for Frank. Now Derek is ahead 2-0 on the space race track, so he has the opportunity to space for a couple of VPs.
Yeah, but those VPs are far from guaranteed. We don't know where one small step is. That could be a game changer if blue gets it here.
Yep. So Derek's going to go for a Panama coup to stop domination. Rolls a 1.
Oof. I wouldn't even mess around. I just drop the
Oh,
Africa.
absolutely not. Dump your scoring right now. I don't really care about a speculative 2 points in Central America.
Oh no.
Oh no. Okay, Derek in huge, huge trouble now.
Now I'd probably consider going for just the naked Cuba realigns here. Just because that's really the last region that you have a good chance of fighting in.
Yeah. Would you think about spacing here to get yourself another VP, push closer to that auto victory?
Yeah, it I guess it kind of depends because Portuguese Empire crumbles is certainly very playable now. Um, I don't think there's any chance that Zaire would get flipped by Derek. And I
It's
would be
eminently realignable and already scored. So yes, I
yeah
completely agree with you.
yeah I'd be considering just using the Portuguese to realign Cuba. Honestly, maybe even entering Costa Rica to try and tempt red into expanding out. So you have an easy summit coup into Nicaragua or Haiti, perhaps something like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so he
Instead, he's
does,
just going to take
once
a
again,
domination.
the clairvoyance.
Yeah. And again, you suggest so as Costa Rica, and he goes there. Also goes to Guatemala to retake domination. So I would expect that if Derek expands out, we'll just see a coup right away. And if not, I'm wondering if we just see a D-style space here to try and pick up another VP. And there's a space. Oh, Derek misses.
I like
And
the
we are
detail.
going to Nicaragua. Yep. Yep. So it is exactly as you said, just one turn later. He's going to hold D-stall in his hand for another action round, for another turn.
Yeah, now we're getting into the territory though, where I think D style should start getting spaced because the board is pretty filled up at this point. I don't think Red would salt for D style. He might even salt for ABM if he sees ABM or he sees salt.
Yep. Okay. So Che and Liberation Theology certainly cards that Frank is happy to see in his hand, but with D stall still in his hand, those are three problematic cards for him. So Sadat certainly good to see if you're the U.S. This is not going to change domination, but it'll help a little bit. Cambridge Five's a free couple of ops. Our man probably a decent event. Brezhnev played on the last action round. Flower Power with no war cards in hand, so not a lot of big events here for the U.S. other than Sadat to flip over Egypt. Derek just has to hope that he's got some power cards in his hand because this thing looks lopsided.
Yeah, would you consider the Omit headline instead of Sadat to maybe try and wipe out South America or Middle East?
Yeah, I think I might try. Yeah, I don't know that I'd headline Sadat here. I think he could be valuable later in the turn. Ooh, a Quagmire.
Hmm.
That's not the worst thing for Frank.
Hey, there you go.
There's Middle East and OPEC.
Yeah, that's
Oh
crushing.
wow, that's crushing. I mean, that's how many VPs there? Four for OPEC and six
Yeah, 10
for
VPs.
the domination. So that I mean that's 10 VPs down the drain for Omit. That's that's very strong value.
I would not get rid of one small step considering you're behind in space. That's an
I don't
interesting decision.
I don't know why Frank would do that. That is very strange to me.
Maybe the idea
Very
is it
strange to
could be
me.
a safe card for red, and he's trying to overload red's hands with blue cards. But interesting that of all the neutral cards, usually I get rid of them, but I would probably not get rid of one small step here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, that was a huge omit for Frank. And Derek now with some options. We're just gonna go with a two-op coup.
Oh boy.
Oh. Frank probably going to get rid of Liberation here, would be my guess. Yep, there it goes. Okay, and he's out of the quagmire after just one roll. And DEFCON still sits at 3, so Derek now needs to coup.
I think a Panama coup is basically guaranteed here.
Yep.
Oh no.
Oh, and he misses, so Frank's going to be able to just go right back in. He's also going to pick up a VP. Up to 17 now.
So unless I'm mistaken, Central is now the win for US. Like, so I think it's worth 3 in domination.
Yeah, so domination 3, 4. I think it's actually only two, I believe it is only 2, given that the adjacency. So 3 for domination plus 2 battlegrounds for the U.S. is 5, and then 1 for presence, 1 for the battleground, 1 for adjacency for the USSR. So it's only 2, I think. But to that plus space is a win.
What are you thinking about realigning Cuba instead of entering Panama? Because losing Cuba is a disaster if you're red.
Yeah, what I want to do here, I want to make sure that Derek can't dump the scoring. So I think taking Panama back, and then yeah, like entering Nicaragua to threaten the realigns again.
Yeah, I think I'm just worried he's gonna go one Nicaragua, one Haiti, and you lose your opportunity to get those easy realigns in. The
Yeah.
advantage is, I mean, with 4 ops at neutral, your odds have to be above 75% to at least remove one. I'm
Yes.
wondering. Let me consult the table here.
And so Frank thinking about going Cambridge 5 here. Now I did say it was a free two ops, but that does signal to Derek that Frank does not have the scoring. Now obviously, if Frank had South America scoring, he would have dumped it already. So Derek can be confident Frank doesn't have South America scoring. But now he knows Frank doesn't have Central. Maybe Central's sitting in Derek's hand, of course. So maybe that's no information at all. But interesting that he goes with the Cambridge 5 early.
Yeah,
Probably a
so
Guatemala coup here.
at Guatemala. So now you get into a weird situation where it's not easy for you to try and get more than two from Central counter crewing Guatemala. I would definitely not consider counter crewing Guatemala. On the realignment table at net bonus zero, four ops, 88.5% to remove one and 64% to remove three. So you have a two-thirds chance of removing him from Cuba and the region completely, and like a 90% chance of removing at least one. So I would have gone for the big realigns on Cuba there if I was blue.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get that. And so now he enters Nicaragua, threatening the realigns again. So Derek probably just he doesn't necessarily have to coup here. He could enter Haiti to stop domination, but yeah, he's just going to coup with the two ops. Derek racking up the mill ops here.
Yeah, now if your coup fails, he just gets an easy dumping of Central for zero VPs.
Yeah. And I don't want to coup with Sadat. I don't think you want to spend four ops cooing a one stabbed Central American non battleground either.
Yeah,
And
you need to get your mill ops eventually, though.
you
How do
could,
you think you
yeah.
do it?
So you could give up Che, I'll resolve the event first and give up the two African non-battlegrounds, and then coup Nicaragua with it,
Yeah, I was liking the Shea eventing also.
because you're gonna have to give up. Well, you don't know. You don't. You could hold one of Desal and Che and space the other, but I think giving up the African non-battlegrounds here is not the end of the world.
You also jam Cuba with China card or Flower Power, but that gets risky.
Yeah, yeah, that is that. I think threatening these real lines and getting domination back is better. So Frank is just going to give up Cameroon and Zimbabwe. Oh, he
Oh,
goes for Costa
that
Rica.
was I like that play a lot actually. That was aggressive.
Okay. Okay. So if you get a four, you wipe him out. You get a five, you get one in there. And when you're down 17 VPs as the USSR on turn five, you need to take chances.
Yeah, what's interesting is the longer he fights in Central, the longer he doesn't get anything going in South. I think uh, Red's definitely got to start expanding there before the blue cards show up, like OAS and Panama and perhaps Junta also.
Yeah. So now Frank's sitting with domination in Central America. A three-op coup on Nicaragua.
Oh
And he
man,
rolls
another
a
one.
one. Now I wonder. Well, I don't know if you go one. I don't know if you poke Cuba and then also go one Nicaragua here.
I think he's really giving away. He's got Central here. I think you
Yeah.
just go max aggressive, or at
Yeah.
least consider realigning him because you still have the realigns open.
Oh, he's going to give up Sadat. Well, with Middle East and OPEC gone, giving up Sadat now is not the end of the world.
Yeah, I think Sadat's easy to give up here. So Camp David is still out there. What other cards you think Justin could get points for US?
Yeah. So Camp David is out. Alliance is gone. Arms race we haven't seen. Obviously, that's not going to get him any points this turn. Um, let's see. Duck and cover is gone.
There
There's
it is.
Central. Okay, so here it is.
Base
Frank
for
with
the
a
win.
chance to space for the win right here. Yes, and as you can see, Frank earlier said I refuse to invest in space, but now I think I would. So this could be your ball game right here. A coin flips chance to end the game on turn 5 AR6 and a US steamroll. If he misses the space roll, we will play on. South America, the only remaining unscored region. And
Oh, yeah,
Frank
misses it.
misses. Frank misses, so we continue to play. South America is the only unscored region, and Derek is the only one with access there currently. Well, you speculated on it
Yeah.
there, Michael, that he had Camp David, and Derek spaces Camp David, doesn't get the roll.
So the game
And
will
yeah,
continue, and it's interesting because the one unscored region left, South America, does pretty heavily favor the USSR right now. So could get interesting if we get a fast, strong South America out. Though I definitely consider Colombia now. Yep, and that's what he does.
yeah,
So,
just going hard into Colombia with 3,
it's
so it's
actually
not
the
an easy
win
coup
too if
target.
Blue draws South America, because unless Junta goes into red, I don't think there's much he can do about that.
Yeah, if he's brave enough to headline it.
Oh, yep,
Oh,
that's
okay. Well,
game. That's
oh
game
my
for sure.
goodness, Junta, Brush War, Arms Race, and South America scoring.
I don't
Wow.
think there's anything red can do at Lone Gunman too that stops South America winning the game.
Yeah. Um, I mean, you could Brush War Ethiopia here to get for one VP to win the game.
Oh,
66% chance of it.
he's being conservative. He's just
Yes.
going for the junta. I would be
Yep.
looking at every card in the deck saying, "Is there anything that stops the South America from winning?" I'm struggling to find any cards. I guess we will bury you, perhaps.
No, We Will Bear You will not do it. Um, yeah, I think. Um,
Actually, I think we will bury you might because it's 3 points before South.
yeah, but not it. But that doesn't work in the headline phase.
Oh yeah, yeah. We will bury you isn't effective in the headline. Okay.
So yeah, Frank should be looking at the cards. I'm trying to figure out off the top of my head. Are there any available cards that give ABM is gone? Yeah.
I mean, Brush War also activates Arms Race as a fallback in case
Yep.
South America doesn't work out.
Yeah, I think Junta is fine. Missile Envy takes flower power, so
Easy.
that makes Brush War interesting.
I guess just go Brazil and Q Argentina.
Yeah.
Okay. We see the big coup on Colombia now. He has to play Missile Envy, and then red could maybe fill up Cuba or Argentina.
Yeah. So I,
So
I wonder if we'll see the big yeah, you could see the big coup, and then yeah, well, regardless, Frank will just fill up Venezuela.
yeah,
South
so this is
America will be a draw.
going.
Brush War no longer wins the game.
We get the pleasure of seeing a few extra action rounds, and if he had headlined Brush or South America.
Yep. So flower power could be interesting. Okay, so he's just gonna fill here. Oh no, he's gonna attack. He's gonna put one into Uruguay.
Oh, he's threatening the jam of Brazil, but I don't think that does anything because Blue has easily enough ops to repel any jams.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think we got to see Brush War next action round, and I don't know, just maybe hit Argent or Algeria, just any country. It's just the easiest.
Well, with flower power in effect, though,
Oh,
Brush War is not going to win the game now.
oh yeah,
You could
okay.
literally Brush War Ethiopia otherwise, because if you win the war, the game is over.
Yeah. Well, I guess then Brush War is looking pretty good for Argentina then because you're hoping for success to score the
Yeah.
South
So
America.
yeah, Brush War into Argentina, I think is fine. You give up the two VPs. If you get one back, you're almost certainly going to score the domination. If you don't, Derek needs 3 mil-ops right away. Otherwise, you get off arms race.
Yeah,
So I
and
like a Brush War into Argentina here. Or a space for the win. And there
oh,
you
that
go.
also works. That also works.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So he's going to take a space shot and win the game. And we were thinking about South America scoring, but in fact, there was a much simpler path for Frank to win the game, and that is indeed what he does. He gets to space on turn 6 AR2, and that's going to be a USA victory. So Frank avenges his loss to Derek from earlier in the tournament. Frank controls his own destiny for that ITS Champions League berth. I certainly don't control my own destiny. I was eliminated in the first round of the tournament that I put together, but Frank is doing a lot better, and it's going to be interesting to see how these last couple of rounds go. But Michael, just a little bit of a one-sided game here for the U.S. Derek took over in the Middle East early, was able to score a quick domination, but then it got dumped in the mid-war. Asia got scored twice, Europe got scored twice. It was just a tough one here for Derek.
Yeah, not much really going in the way of red. I do think that, and we'll talk to Derek about this when he joins us. But the management of DEF CON Turn One, allowing the coup of Thailand, was risky, and he did seem to pay for it by giving Blue a pretty easy path to the Asia domination, and that turned out to be really huge. Because even though Asia was 5-year planned, if Red had been able to dump Asia turn two, then he would have been able to hold 5-year plan and dump the Europe to give the 5-year plan to Europe. So that was a huge VP swing for Blue, ending getting Thailand in that turn one.
Yeah, and so he just hoped that Frank would roll low, and Frank rolled well and just flipped over Thailand. As you said, one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable, battleground on the board.
Yeah, I think this game proves why it's so valuable.
Yeah, yeah, and Derek with that decall, he should have gotten there first. He should have been able to get it first, but instead, or obviously he could have filled it up and then made Frank coup with with it sitting at 3, which is obviously a lot harder to do than with it sitting at 1.
Yeah,
But Frank was
noteworthy.
able to take it.
Noteworthy also, 2 decalls, and despite a turn 4 Africa, it went to US. That's really, I think, a testament to maybe Africa is not as stable a region as most people like to think.
Yep, things looked ugly. So I'm not sure if Derek is going to join us here. Derek, are you around? Looks like the stream has ended.
I saw